Hey guys, this is Light, and it's been quite a while since my last tier list. I took a break last season, and I had to do like a bunch of Eastern World Cup prep. But I am back now, so let's push out an early season tier list before the big changes happen. So we have a basis for everything. So I'll go through the tiers real quick, and a lot has changed since the last time I made a tier list. So I feel I wanted to condense it a lot more because not many different units are actually picked, so it's kind of a pain to see so many units in a tier list, right? So just because you don't see a unit on this list, it doesn't mean they're bad. These are units that I think are worth building. Cause you don't want to build a unit that you almost never pick, or a unit that's not actually as good as you think. So yeah. Consider this like a unit building priority kind of thing, and I'll explain the tiers. So for tier 0, these units are definitely the hardest units to deal with in the game for very, very specific reasons. Like Arunka's force targeting, and she's basically unkillable. Makes it very, very hard for you to do anything against her. Renak is like a super carry guaranteed to kill you, and she's useless for slow players. Sorry, I'll explain it later though. But yeah, in tier 0, you always want to pick these units or at least ban them. Usually you want to ban the ones you don't own or the ones you can't play. For example, if you don't own a Runka, if you don't own Lady of the Skills, you should ban them every single game. If you can't build Renak to be super fast and competitive, you probably want to ban her every game. Um, if you don't want to deal with Tenibria's uncleansable debuffs, you should probably ban her every game. She's very, very annoying and she counters a lot of things. She makes cleansers on 3 unplayable. So yeah, these units, tier 0, pick or ban, there's no way around it. And so for S tier, so these are the really good units that you'll pick basically every game, and you'll pick them early because they're they're typically very safe and reliable, and they have minimal counters. And so every season there will be certain broken openers that are extremely strong when Har City is pre-banned. Last season it was Ahmed and Lydica, but this season it's C Lilius and Ahmed, and I'll get into that later. And then for the A tier we have so these are the units that you will pick in the middle of your drafts, anywhere from 2 to 4, to start answering to the other person. And these units are decently safe, they're decent counter picks. I'll go through them later. And other A tier units, so these are the units that you'll pick last, that you will commonly pick last to round out your draft, or to counter pick certain things. And these are the more common counter picks. And then for B tier, so we have extremely niche units that you only pick in very rare games, honestly. So yeah, consider this like a unit building priority kind of thing. You'll want to pick, you want to prioritize these units, and then these units, and then these units, and then yeah, it's basically like a unit priority list. And as always, I don't really bother ranking cleave units. If cleave is good, then the units are good. That's kind of how it is. But of course, some cleave units will be better than others. For example, Strays and Blue Huayang are up here because they're essential to Ahmed and C Lilius. So yeah, anyway, yeah, let's get into it, starting with the tier 0 units. Yeah, again, Arunka, this unit is very hard to deal with unless you can cleave her. So yeah, I don't recommend leaving her up ever. But she's really hard, especially if you're a second pick. She just protects her team too well. It just makes the other person too safe. So yeah, Arunka, insane unit. Although she is very weak to debuffers though. However, it's very hard to deal with the Runka unless you have speed. And Renak is Renak. Fastest unit in the game, she's a hyper carry, she makes you weaker, she makes herself stronger. She's basically guaranteed to kill you. Like, if given enough time, and she's just ridiculous. However, really bad thing about Renak is that you can't really pick her yourself unless you're really fast. Like for example, you take Renak, so the other person doesn't take Renak, and then you just get outsped or something, and then your Renak is useless. And that's why I permaban her, because like I can't build a competitive Renak. So yeah. Otherwise, she's very broken. And then Lady of the Scales. This unit is the cheesiest unit in existence. You can do so much stupid stuff with her, but the worst part is, she kind of sucks if you're slow. Like the thing is, if you're a slow player and you pick Lady of the Scales, she kind of just kills your team. So she forces you to be really aggressive, and if you don't have speed, it's pretty hard. So yeah, so it's very similar to Renak, where they don't really shine unless your playstyle is suitable for her. But at the same time, you can't really afford to leave her up because she's so broken when played well. So yeah, for that reason, if I were to play like very if I were to like play like as competitive as like possible, I would probably pre-ban Lady of the Skills and Renak because they just suck. They suck when you are slow, but they're unbearable when the other person picks them. So yeah, really broken units. And Tenebria, she has the dumbest debuffs in the game. She's a huge debuffer, and she can't be cleansed by the traditional cleanser. Like, at least Emo Luna, you can put a cleanser on 3 and be kind of okay against her. But Tenebria kind of just says, screw you. Like, you have to pray you get lucky against her. Or just like resist her debuffs, right? So she's very annoying. Like, she's a debuff threat, but then there's no good cleanser to pick against her. So what's your option? Your option is to just cleave her, or to just resist her, and that's no good. So yes, for that reason, she's definitely top tier. Like, she lacks answers that are practical for like the normal person, right? So yeah, Tenebria, top tier. Honestly, if I were to play seriously, I would. If I was first pick, I would pre-ban Renak and Tenebria, and then pick a Runka. And if I'm second pick, I would probably pre-ban Renak and Scales or Renak and Tenebria. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. It gets really into the nitty-gritty, but yeah, these units absolutely top tier. You can't go wrong with banning any of them. And then for the S tier, so again, these are the units that you'll probably pick every single game, no matter what kind of player you are. Like Peyra is the safest DPS in the game. She's a cleanser. She's very fast. She does good damage. The only thing that really counters her is Fallen Cecilia, who makes her basically not a damage dealer. But she's still really good, even if there's Fallen Cecilia, because like you can play her with Luna to like debuff her and stuff. But yeah, Peyra, very minimal counters. And then Emo Luna is always a really big debuff threat. You basically force a reaction from the other person, like they're forced to pick cleansers no matter what, and you can abuse them for it. Although she's a bit harder to play, especially when like the frenzy turns into like 100 ER. It's pretty troll. But Luna is definitely still a big menace. Then Arya is one of the safer damage dealers. She's very tanky. The extra soul burn cost is really impactful. And she's kind of resistant to debuffs. She'll be like 200 ER naturally. So yeah, decent early pick damage dealer. There aren't many of them at all. And for that reason she'll be S tier. She's pretty decent. And then we have Ilinav. Ilinav is always a really strong unit. Like the pen resistance is always useful. And like even though Ilinav might suck as a damage dealer, you can just build her as an Aureus Knight and she won't be as much of a liability. Like she'll just be a passive bot and she's a pretty decent passive bot. So very strong. Ideally she's a unit that you would want to have two of. Like you want a normal damage Ilinav with Monarch and you want like a protection Aureus Ilinav. But otherwise if you only have one, it's probably just a protection Aureus. And we have Ross. So Ross is quite the menace. He does a lot of damage. And yeah, he just does a lot of damage and he's resistant to debuffs. There's not much to say. And he doesn't have too many counters. Like sure, Ilinav will like nerf his damage quite a bit, but typically people will just pick Ilinav with Ross. And then yeah, they'll just go to town on people with like his damage. Like people are building like full damage Destro Torrent and like just blowing people up. Like he's really good, he's really tanky. He has a revive, he's immune to debuffs, like he's a very resistant damage dealer, which is really nice. So yeah, overall really good. And like you can cleave with him too, like he just does it all. If you need damage, like Ross is very good. On Fallen Cecilia is probably the best knight right now. Like she mitigates Peyra quite a bit. She threatens debuffers because like she throws back the debuffs. Like her mitigation is just really nice to have. Cause like between like Luna S2, Peyra, Uberius, Bellion 3F, like Emo Shu, like FCC is just a really solid knight overall. Very safe. She doesn't contribute much against Cleave though, unfortunately, but very safe unit overall. And then I have Emil Celine. Emil Celine is basically, she's always good in more aggressive play. Like she'll do massive damage, she'll protect your team, and then she'll do even more damage and revive your team and stuff. Like she's just super solid. And she does massive damage while being really fast too. So yeah, that's a plus. Yeah, Celine, you'll basically want to pick her in like any kind of aggressive draft. But make sure Heart City's pre-banned, of course. But yeah, really solid unit. However, you'll never first pick her though. Like you usually, if you're cleaving, you usually want to like anchor down your draft with like Arunka or Scales or something else instead of Celine. But otherwise, Celine will be like the very next thing you pick. And then so the other S tier. So I said earlier, every single season there is a completely broken like drafting style, where like you put a specific broken opener on 3. Last time it was Ahmed and Litica, and now it's C Lilius and Ahmed still. Because C Lilius, she got buffed to strip, push her team, and then defense break you. And they gave her the ultimate bridge in Huayang, who does not need to be CR pushed. If C Lilius presses S3, Huayang will get the turn and then blow up your entire team. It's very cool. And then the worst thing is, C Lilius will anchor down her team with Arunka or Skills, and then her team will be unkillable. And then like they can splash Celine, they can splash in like strays, like debuffers and stuff, and it's really flexible and strong. But mostly because Hwayoung is, if Hwayoung is crazy, she just kills you. She's the ultimate bridge that you almost always have to ban. And then like the other anchors are just insane. Like between like Arunka, Scales, and Celine, like C Lilius is really hard to deal with. And Ahmed is basically the same thing, except she uses different bridges, of course. But in this case, it would be like strays or something. But it's basically the same thing as Sea Lilius. But she's a little weaker to like she's a little weaker to like Fire Poly and AU Fiend because she doesn't have like Hua Young's like guaranteed take a turn kind of thing. But she's still very solid. Like you can push fast damage dealers or fast debuffers with her, and like she'll just murder people. But yeah, that's pretty much how like aggro plays. If anyone is interested, I'm down to make like drafting guides for like the aggro gameplay. Like these units are very broken and easy to play, so long as you're fast anyway. But yeah, anyway, so that's the S tier when Arceti is pre-banned, those kinds of cleave aggro units. And then so you have the next tier of units, which are the common units that you'll be picking in your draft, like in the middle of it. C Armin with her EE makes her probably one of the best mitigation options. Like she has 25% mitigation flat, which is really really nice. Like she'll protect her team really well. And then Lionheart with her EE. She's actually really really strong now, and like with Setsuka running around, she's quite the menace, honestly. Yeah, really really good unit. And like she's really good against but honestly it's just Setsuka. It's honestly just Setsuka, but like Setsuka and like Fireflan, like they're common enough. Just don't pick Lionheart into like Harseti, it's kinda donkey. But yeah, Lionheart definitely a really really nice unit to have. And Aram is really strong into Harseti. Like she's you can do a lot of like crazy combos with her too if you want. Like Aram combos really well with other openers in general. Cause like she would just reset their cooldowns, or maybe she can just reset your DPS and then you can like montage on people. But Aram has a lot of potential, although it really depends on the player playing her. But she's just a solid unit. And then yeah, 3F Billion. 3F Billion is always like a reliable unit. Like she can do a lot of damage while being like super tanky with 30k HP. However, she does get mitigated by Fallen Cecilia. But she's still a solid damage dealer for lack of anything better. You have to have 3F though. If it's not 3F, it's pretty underwhelming. And then we have Hua Young. And Hua Young is resistant to debuffs, which is great. You can build her super high damage on Destro set to like one shot the tanky or light units. The game is littered with debuffers, so Hua Young is naturally really good right now. Like Hua Young is like okay against Tenebria, she's okay against Gills. She can work against Ross. It just depends on like your setup and build. I think Hua Young is probably the most difficult unit to use though, because like she needs to be set up. She can't just like one tap a unit for existing. Like she needs soul burn, she needs turn priority. She's a very difficult unit to set up, but she's still pretty good. Like as much as people meme her, she's still really good. And then we have Mediator. He's just a solid cleanser. A super solid cleanser. He does decent damage. Immunity buff is really good, especially against Ross. His EE helped him a lot. Like it's so easy for him to be like 250, 260 speed with decent stats now. It's really nice. And Harseti. I think Harseti is only pickable when you're second pick against like greedy players who slam speed units, and then you can punish them with like Harseti plus Flan. But other than that, Harseti is actually really, really difficult to pick. But yeah, she's okay. But things like Aram and things like Oh, she's really hard to pick. Cause she can just be randomly punished by like bad turn cycling and stuff. Like for example, let's say someone picks like Ross with like Peyra and Luna, and you're like, oh, let's slam Harsetti to like stop their speed units, and then your Harsetti goes, and then their entire team goes first, and then you just die. Like Harsetti can work in like in like specific situations, but she's pretty hard to force otherwise, unless like you build your team like all for her, like base speed and whatever. But she's okay. Um, well, I'll say like she's like the unit that you're forced to pick, but you don't want to ever actually pick her unless you're a freak. And then Acades is just like a solid cleanser against Luna, a solid cleanser to like disrupt things in general. Like her self CR push is really good. Her pushing up a team is really good to disrupt people. No, very solid unit overall. Cause like against like more aggressive players, you don't want them to like get really comfortable, and like Acades is really annoying. Cause like she'll just disrupt them, right? It's very nice unit. Um Emma Lua had a pretty big fall from grace. Emma Lua is extremely hard to play now. It was like she's so countered by like C Lilies and Ahmed. Like if they outspeed her, she just dies. Same thing for Peyra too, honestly, and same thing for Luna. Like if this unit gets outsped, you kind of just die. But like against slower players, you can kind of abuse them with like a ROM and stuff, like resetting her cooldowns. But she's still honestly, I'm gonna stick her down to like a late pick kind of debuffer. Like the unit is, she can be forced, but she has so many weaknesses, and I think she's not as good as these like at all. But yeah, and then Emerald Poly. Emerald Poly is usually pretty good against like people who have like anti-res or who are like really reliant on resources. She's not as strong as the other openers though for sure, which is why she's only in A tier, which is a shame. Unfortunately, see Lilius and Ahmed, they're way stronger than her if they take the first turn. Like Emerald Poly takes the first turn, you're not as you're not as concerned, but if these two take the first turn, you're gonna die. Basically. But Emerald Poly still a thing, still can still be threatening. She has decent utility still. Death Dealer, right? You pretty much you can just slam this guy against like most tank teams, honestly. Or like against greedy drafts for sure. Like if someone opens with like 3 tanks, you slam the DDR on them and like it'll probably work out. I mean he's still decent tank killer, and like with Guardian Crystal you have decent sustain as well. And Yufine's still really good for her CR cut. She's not as good as like a carry these days, but she can be okay. Otherwise, if you want to pick her early, you have to play her Aureus. But she can be good on Elber still. It's just you kind of have to like play her with debuffers and stuff usually, like Luna. And yeah, Flan, and Flan also had quite the fall from grace. It's hard to pick her early like people used to because units like Lionheart are just gonna kill her. But she's still a really good last pick for just completely running people down. So yeah, she's decent still, but not as insane as she used to be. And Setsuka is such a menace. She's a really strong late pick, and a really strong like pick on 4, because like you kind of like force the other person to answer her, and there's not really that many good answers to her besides Lionheart. And like she turns the game into an RNG fiesta where the person with Setsuka is honestly favored. Because like imagine you have Emil Celine and she has a 30% chance to miss her first soul burn. All your steam is gone and you're probably gonna lose. I said Tika is a huge menace, and like she's definitely really strong. And then we have late picks. So like I said, Hua Young, when you have C Lilius on 3 and then you lock in Hua Young, it's basically force ban from the other person. And then yeah, very hard to deal with. Fire Ada. Fire Ada is good against like some openers. Like if she gets stripped, then she'll clap back with like tons of AoE damage and like defense break and silence. Very potent like reverse cleaver, and she can like super ignore ER defense break as well, which is really nice. Dilly Bet's always decent against like big debuffers, and you're trying to like reverse cleave them. Like she's okay. Emma Hayes, if anyone's like picking raw damage into you, Emma Hayes is okay. The build is usually just Proof of Valor. Like super tanky 30k HP Proof of Valor to just survive. Although it's kind of not as viable anymore because there's so much damage in the game that you can't really survive. And MLK-Ron. And sometimes MLK-Ron can like 1v4 people who pick like lower HP units and they don't have Fallen Cecilia. Like, he does have that potential. Although it's not too common, but it's a thing. Solitaria. Solitaria is always decent against Flan. And like Emoshu, like their focus based and whatnot, like yeah. It's always decent like that. And Emoshu, honestly, Emoshu kind of sucks. But she's still the only other viable injury unit besides DDR. Just don't pick this unit into a Runka and it'll probably be fine. But yeah, she's okay. She's only here because there are no other viable injury units. And Emerald Ball is pretty good against cleavers. Like he's a major disruption unit, and his S3 does tons of damage now because they buffed it. So like 20k HP Emerald Ball will do like 20,000 damage with his sleep S3, which is pretty nice. He can kill a lot of cleave units now. But yeah, pretty nice unit. And then we have Amiki. Amiki is always a good late pick if the other person is picking units with like really like low HP and they can't really survive. Like Amiki will just whittle them down and kill them. It's like against cleavers, like imagine someone picks like Fire Flan, BVK, and then like Payro or something. Like Amiki will just kill them, right? And then Sage Vivian is okay. I feel like she has like potential as like a late pick carry. As long as you build her a little tanky so her insight doesn't get like knocked down randomly. I think she's actually pretty decent. But very difficult to pick though, unless it's last pick of course, which is why she's here. Yeah, just a decent carry unit. It's very nice that she's resistant to debuffs, of course. And then strays. Those strays can be picked with anything that can push them basically. Like if you're picking strays with C Lilius, you want to make him decently fast, but if you pick strays with Ahmed, you can make him slow with tons of damage instead. Just depends. Like strays is just like the super solid cleave unit. Because like the good CR pusher, the good cleave units, they push him, right? So like he can just clean up for them. Aiden's pretty good into Harseti. That's pretty much all she's good at. She's weak to Fallen Cecilia. She's good against units that are like forced to AoE her, but like that's not very common. She's mostly just against Harseti, and she's really good at killing Harseti. And Celine's like the go-to, late pick for countering certain non-attack skills. Honestly, I have Celine here because Celine on highest attack EE can counter Hua and that's basically the only counter pick to Hua. Like they'll pick Hua, you'll pick Celine, and then you trade bans basically. That's the only reason why Celine is here now. Candy is still okay as like a late pick carry against like people with like low damage like Emoshu and stuff. Sometimes her anti-crit is good. She's okay. If your team can support her, she's okay. Like Emorana is always good as like a late pick cleave unit. Like her skill resets really disable people. Like she's always good. And archdemons, and sometimes someone will have like 0 immunity and archdemon just like beats them up. Like archdemon's particularly good against like Pera and like Setsuka. Like after they take their turn, they burn their immunity, and then archdemon just kind of like locks them down. And then Assassin Cartusia. Okay, unironically, Assassin Cartusia is not really a meme anymore. Like this unit is a major threat. Especially with Setsuka, like on a more damage build. I'm pretty sure with Setsuka and Pera, Assassin Cartusia can be a major threat. And yeah, but just as a late pick, of course. And then we have like we have like some very rare counter picks. Like you can pick Wukong to like bait strays and make him do 0 damage, right? That's like its only purpose. Like Abigail, same thing. You put the strays target in the back and like he won't be able to kill, which is okay, I guess. Schneel versus DDR is never pretty. I swear DDR usually beats him, but sometimes Schneel is the only thing you can pick. I have Emo Sharon again, same thing. Like it's against DDR and sometimes it's the only thing you can pick. And you're usually gonna lose, but sometimes you can work. Then Mort is a very cope unit. Like you want to slam Mort into like counter attack units, right? But like if you see Yufine, you probably think like, oh, slam Mort. But then the Yufine's on Aureus and then your Mort's useless. Right, that kind of thing. Like Mort's only purpose is basically like if someone picks a Miki, you slam Mort and you pray they ban it. Yeah, and then Emoken unironically, Emoken can kind of beat people up. Very rarely, but he can kind of beat people up. Extremely rarely though, but yeah. Bunny Dom is an okay counter pick to C Lilius. I say if you pick Bunny Dom, you have like a 40% chance to beat C Lilius. Okay, that's not very good, but she can kind of deal with C Lilius, not really. It's an option. I'm still looking into it. DN. Honestly, whatever, right? Like if you desperately need anti-crit, you can pick DN. Genua, if you can forcibly proc your Genua, like he can kind of kill people still. Although most units are kind of like most units don't really care about him that much, but he can still be a menace sometimes. Laya is a very rare cleanser. Like sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes like they'll pick a resetter and then like Laya is the only thing that can save you. And Greenlandy, if for some reason the other person doesn't have any AoE whatsoever, Greenlandy is pickable, but it's very rare. But she's pickable, just extremely rarely. Yuha can be strays bait, but you can pick her with like Aureus Ilanev, and then Yuha will tank the strays, and then just like the reflect will kill strays. I tried her as an Aureus Knight with protection set, and it's okay, but I'm kind of like skeptical about it still. Like, I don't think she's that useful. She's just straight bait, honestly. But yeah, that's about it. And of course, like I don't rank cleave units because like if a unit is good in cleave, then like they're just good, right? But like yeah, sorry, if cleave is good, then the units are good, right? Kind of. But yeah, I explained it earlier. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this tier list. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you guys next time.